SuperTalk Mississippi Media Production.
It's Commission.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar. It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute. That's right.
Hey, folks, time for another In a Mississippi Minute. I'm in my 8th year and the first week I ever had this show. Today's guest was on, and it's been that long. Crazy. Reminding you, my pals over there in Macon, Mississippi, they know how to produce catfish. Where else but in Mississippi? Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org, celebrating the arts. We're going deep into the comedy world today. Well, with one of the greatest ever. Not sure how many great, really funny people we have from Mississippi. I know we're the birthplace of America's music, so I think that's close enough. Today on the show, besides being a good buddy, it's been a long time, we're welcoming in, the last time he told me he retired, this comedy legend, actor, television host, born in Galveston, Texas. I had the best breakfast of my life in Galveston, Texas, a couple times. He simply is one of the best ever at his craft. His journey in the entertainment business began in his early days as a DJ in Dallas, and then went on to take the comedy world by storm with his debut album in 1986, Here's Your Sign. Come on. I can remember listening to that over and over again with my pals down here in Mississippi. Just brilliant memories. He spent decades helping folks feel good, forget about their problems for a while, and flat out making audience crack up. Eventually becoming a member of the iconic Blue Collar Comedy Tour alongside Jeff Foxworthy, Dan, Larry the Cable Guy, and Ron White. His career has spanned hit comedy albums, hosting television shows, including his own sitcom, and even a stint on Dancing with the Stars. He officially retired from stand-up back in 2022. I thought it was before that, but I can't keep up anymore, and remains a beloved figure in entertainment. Today, we'll dive into his career and current life. And the reason we're really talking is I saw at Pearl River Resort on February 1st, he will be gracing their presence in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Great folks over there where I'm the brand ambassador. And I think that you can call it an early weekend. As my song says, you will not have to be yourself till Monday if you go and spend a long weekend there with the great Bill Engvall. Hello, Bill.
How do I follow that?
You don't.
That was awfully sweet and awfully nice. And obviously the check must have cleared. So that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good to see you. And I know the last time we did the interview was through the air, via vocals only. But now we have this Zoom thing, and it's just good to see you. You look great. How's Gail doing?
She's doing great. Thank you, man. We're down in Arizona, and I have had to come to Jesus meeting. My wife has an addiction problem, and that addiction is golf. She plays every day. Wow. And I'm not making that up. Every day. Even the people in the pro shop are like, ma'am, take a break.
That's insane. Well, I know a couple other women that play every day, but they're pros. So there you go.
Hey, listen, I wish he'd get good enough to be a pro so I can, bring in some more income.
Hey, so, with me, I used to play every day. I used to work at it and train, and we just sort of been there, done that sort of. And I like playing once every week now, maybe twice every 10 days. For you, I know you love golf, but how often are you out there?
Stevie, I'm like you. I'm good for a day or two a week. And I'm like you in the sense that I worked at it. I've tried everything. And I think that sometimes we just have to come to the realization that we're just not going to be that good.
Exactly.
But that's the thing about golf. I mean, if this was any other sport, I'd quit. But, the gods of golf give you that once in a while, that chip shot or that you hole a 40-foot putt or, I'm never going to hit a 95 mile an hour fastball, and I'm never going to run back a kickoff for 80 yards for a touchdown. But you know what? There's a good chance I might hit one shot that's good like the pros.
Especially late in your round. I mean, you can play awful and then birdie the last hole and you feel that's all you remember. Isn't it interesting? It's really interesting how it's like a shooter in basketball. Somebody that's got the green light, they can go 0 for 50. I've seen Steph Curry miss 13 straight and then make one and start wiggling his shoulders like he had made 14 in a row, right? But golf has that feeling. It's the only ball in sports, I guess, besides T-ball, that the ball just sits there. But it's a very difficult sport, and it's been a lot of fun, and that's how we got to know each other. Thank goodness the game of golf. All of us entertainers, we seem to like the game a lot, and it brings us together to raise money for charities and all that. And you and I obviously have met on that platform, and it's been a blessing, I can tell you. Let's dig a little back right now. First of all, have you ever been to Philadelphia, Mississippi, or Pearl River Resort?
I do not believe I've been to Pearl River Resort. I've played a lot of casinos around that area. One of the great things about finding a new venue that you haven't played is they haven't heard all your stuff. So,
hey, your stuff. I'm just going to say this: back in 1981 and 82, junior, senior year in high school, me and my friends were hooked on Steve Martin. Comedy Is Not Pretty. So much that we listened to it. I mean, after games, every weekend, every time. So then in 86, when Here's Your Sign came out, and then Delirious with Eddie Murphy. You two guys, my first senior year of college and my second senior year of college, that's what we were locked into you. I'm telling you, it was like deja vu again. And in my lifetime, comedy-wise and albums, yours ranks in my top 3 ever. I mean, and so I got to understand, where did that come from? As a songwriter, you find inspiration in real stuff, and you believe, you don't know that maybe this is the one that's going to penetrate and make a big difference, and it's going to matter and it's going to work. It comes from an honest place. Where did that come from?
Steve, I've always, ever since I've started in this business, and I've got to listen, I had the best setup in the world. In 1980, I started in 80. 81, I was, the house MC at this little comedy club in Dallas. And basically, what that entailed, and by the way, I did it just because it paid $25 a week more than the club paid me to do that. That's where I was at. My job was to pick the comics up at the airport, MC the show throughout the week, and then take them back to the airport. And I got to learn from the best, from Leno, Seinfeld, Shandling, Eddie Murphy, worked with him. And Jay Leno, of all of them, Jay Leno gave me a piece of advice that I've kept close, near to my heart. He said, never do material how do you say it? Never do material you don't know about. In other words, it'd be silly for me to do fat jokes. I've never been fat, or drug jokes or,
Right.
And so he said, because the audience will know. And, it's just served me so well. And I think that's one of the things that has been a key to the success I had as a comedian, was the fact that my material, I always knew I'd written a good joke when you saw a husband or a wife in the audience kind of elbow each other like, yeah, that's you right there.
Yeah.
Because people want to know that you're like them. And I think that was also one of the things that made the whole blue collar thing so big, was that we were them. We were just approachable. We were, it was, and we all knew that. And that's what kept us going for so long on that. In fact, you go back to Here's Your Sign. I think I might have told you this story or not, but, when the record labels, so when I was going to release my first album, Here's Your Sign, all I'd seen was Foxworthy go through the stratosphere. He was who I had, he was the bar that I had to kind of judge by. And so they said, the record label said, we're going to do an album. I said, all right, let's do that. I was like, here we go. We're going to start rolling now. We recorded Here's Your Sign, the album. And when it got released, we sold 100 copies across the country. That's less than two a state. We sold one in Hawaii.
I'm one of them.
And so I was like, what the hell is going on? This was supposed to be. Well, what happened then was on that album, we didn't have the song. And so they said, we need to do a song that's Here's Your Sign song. So at the time, I was touring with on the Crown Royal Country Music Tour with Joe Diffie, who bless his heart.
God bless him. I know.
And I said, hey, Joe, would you sing the singing part of this? And he said, oh, man, I'd love to. He goes, let me just clear it with the record label. Well, he went to the record label president. I forget who he was on at the time. But they said, oh, Joe, you don't want to be a part of some novelty song. You got your own career going. So they turned it down. So then I went to Travis Tritt, who said, yeah, I'll do it. Didn't think twice about it. And, the history speaks for itself. Yeah. But the funny thing was, before Joe passed, every time I'd see him, he'd say, yeah, every time I see that old record label president at the time, I go, hey, good call on that Here's Your Sign novelty song. It was only number one for 13 weeks in a row.
That's insane. Well, go to superiorcatfish.com. There's catfish, there's superior catfish, there's Bill Engvall, and then there's Bill Engvall. I'm just saying. And visit Mississippi.org. Plan a getaway. We'll be right back. Yeah, damn that money. Rocking into a Mississippi Minute, SuperiorCatfish.com. You can go to store.SuperiorCatfish.com. He's going to be at Pearl River Resort February 1st, and it's just a special deal for Mississippi and Philadelphia, Mississippi to be hosting the great Bill Engvall. Hey, Bill, so you wrote the song.
Well, basically what they did was a guy named Doug Grau wrote I did the comedy part of it.
Right.
But Doug wrote the lyric, the singing part of it.
Right. And that launched it, huh? That was the difference?
We literally went from 100 copies a week to 10,000 a week. And I remember getting the first residual check from Warner Brothers. And I hadn't seen that many zeros on a check in my life, unless it was just you have no money.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, and and the thing, I knew that something special was happening when people would say, here's your sign, but they don't know. It wasn't because I was standing right there. It was like, I'll give you an example. One time I was in a grocery store and there was a couple people in the line ahead of me. And the little girl working the register was having problems, and the manager came over and hit like one button. He goes, here's your sign. And I was like, oh my God.
That was it?
That was it. I knew then that there was going to be something special. And it is something I'm so proud of. But I didn't know that's what they would hook into. Foxworthy had You Might Be a Redneck, and
right.
Dan hadn't come out with Get Her Done yet. But I'll tell you a funny thing was that because people knew Foxworthy's name. They knew he was so big. I mean, largest selling comedy albums in the world ever. And I remember going through the Nashville airport one time, and I was going through TSA, and the guy said, he said, hey man, he goes, I sure love your You Might Be a Redneck stuff. And I said, well, that's Foxworthy. And he goes, you guys are just funny as hell.
Yeah.
And so I saw Foxworthy about a month later. I said, hey, do you ever get people come up to you saying, hey, I really like that Here's Your Sign stuff you do? He goes, yeah, all the time. And I said, what do you say to him? He goes, I say thank you. And I'm like, dude, you can't take credit from me.
Yeah. Hey, so y'all's relationship, let's dig into that, because I'm really good friends with Gary Valentine. GV.
Oh yeah.
And I got to know Kevin James through them, and I've had a couple feature tracks in their movies. And the one thing I notice is once they befriend you, they want you to be in part of their projects. For him, you think about Kevin was sleeping on Ray Romano's couch. Next thing you know, he's in his show, Everybody Loves Raymond. Next thing you know is there's the King of Queens. Next thing you know, him and Adam Sandler and GB, they always do everything together. For you guys, what is it about the comedy world, to me, from an outsider as a musician, that you guys seem to be the most loyal toward each other?
That's a great statement. and Steve, I think the honest answer is, as you well know, in this business, and it's kind of sad, it's hard to find what I call true friends. You got your business friends, the friends that we see at, like when you see Pat, I see Pat Warburton at an event, we'll talk and laugh and cut up. But, it's not like we talk every week. It's just
right.
So when you find that those people, and this was true with the guys, that it's a true friendship. It doesn't matter what's going on. You latch on to that true friendship, because I don't think people understand, fans. I think they understand, but it's a lonely existence. I don't,
Sure it is. It is.
I'm envious of singers, because at least, I can't tell you how many nights I was on stage wishing I could turn around to the band and go, "This one's for us, boys."
Yeah. Yeah. You're on your own out there. Exactly.
You're on your own. And, you go to a hotel, you check in, you're in the room by yourself, and you're just waiting for the show to start. It's that the highlight of your day is getting a shower, getting ready to go to work. But I think also that's where you see guys sometimes get into drinking problems or drug use. It's not because you just want the high. You're just trying to kill the pain of, you're away from, I don't care if everything's going great at the house. You're in the back of your mind, you're still thinking, I wonder what the kids are doing, or what's Gail up to today? And I'm sitting there getting ESPN neck from laying in bed all day watching SportsCenter, just waiting for the show. So I think that when you find those friends in the business that would be your friends outside the business as well, those are the ones you really like. I just saw Gary Valentine just a few months ago. We did that John O'Hurley, Josh Beckett tournament in Vegas, and Gary and I just had the best time, just cutting up and sitting back watching people auction and getting drunk, and we would laugh. And so those people in the business that are going to be your friends through thick and thin, those are the ones that you really latch on to.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you Kevin and Gary have great values, great morals. They come from a deep sense. I went on a Catholic retreat at Kevin's once, and they were a little upset that on the basketball court we took them out because that was going to happen. But when it came to they were shooting guns, smoking cigars, which I'm not smoking cigars, but it was such a great experience to get to know them on that level, and it took our relationship to another level. I mean, I prayed with GB many times at church and stuff like that, and he's been a big help for me as far as my Catholic self and just becoming a better Christian. And so he's just very vocal about it, and he's very demanding, and he goes, "This is what you need to be like." So I just really appreciated that, because that's what I was around with my mom and dad, and all of a sudden I'm not around my mom and dad, and there's GV. And so that means a lot to me. But with that said, you guys, you think about Here's Your Sign, and I know that was such a launching pad for everything else. Is there anything that you feel like that was so significant? Like, I've gotten certain songs I know that are bigger than are better, mean more, matter more. When you play live, they seem to penetrate deeper, but they've never been hits, right? They've never been massive appeal. Do you have that in your arsenal when you go out live and go, well, this always will stick because it's special?
Yeah, I think, everyone, it doesn't happen a lot.
I just made that question up, by the way. I got nothing.
That was pretty deep.
Thank you. I'm glad I landed it. I think I landed it. I don't know.
I think that it doesn't happen a lot. Otherwise it wouldn't be special. But yeah, I've had bits that that I would do, knowing that the audience probably wasn't going to get it, but it was for me. There's just like, I'm sure that you got songs that are just something special to you. The hardest thing I think is when it's laid in, when the good Lord puts it in front of you, you got to know what to do with it. You were talking about GV and all the praying. It's funny, for the longest time, I didn't know why I was on this earth. I mean, I didn't, I was doing stand up and people were laughing and stuff and all that. But I wasn't, I was just a comedian, when I found God and I'll tell you this story because it's a kind of a funny story.
All right, wait a second. Wait a minute. I want you to hold that because I need to go to a break.
Okay.
Because I see that in 21 you earned a degree in Christian studies. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, all right. So I want to dig into that. That's awesome. Folks, Bill Engvall, one of the best guys ever in our business. I can tell you that. He's been the same guy from the first day I met him, and it's been a while. So it's wonderful finally getting to see him and be in touch. He's going to be at Pearl River Resort. If he could play, well, if Gail, his wife, would go with him, she would be on Dancing Rabbits, the Azalea, the Augusta you can play, and the Oaks, and he couldn't get her off the course because it's that beautiful. We'll get him to come down and play in a better season because it'll probably be a little chilly. February 1st, 8 p.m., you'll get a chance to call it an early weekend and be at Pearl River Resort with the great Bill Engvall. Superior Catfish is produced here in Mississippi. I'm going to tell you, it's in Macon, Mississippi, over by Hell State. Pretty dang good. Go to superiorcatfish.com and visit Mississippi.org, the birthplace of America's music. That's what we are. I am with the fabulous Bill Engvall. I'm Steve Azar. We'll be right back.
$20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Listen and watch all your favorite SuperTalk Mississippi shows live and on demand. Listen to tons of music. Plus, get the latest breaking news from across the state with the SuperTalk Mississippi app. The SuperTalk Mississippi app. Download the SuperTalk app on your iPhone or Android device now for free. Just search SuperTalk Mississippi in your app store on your mobile device to get everything Mississippi all in one place. The SuperTalk Mississippi app.
Hey, this is
In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
There ain't no street in this town where the memories don't.
Rocking into a Mississippi Minute, SuperiorCatfish.com. You can go to store.SuperiorCatfish.com. And my guest today, the legendary Bill Engvall, can have it delivered to his house in Arizona or up in the mountains, wherever the heck he is. And visit Mississippi.org. He's going to be on sacred, hallowed ground where music was born and inspired the world. He's going to be at Pearl River Resort February 1st. You got to call it an early weekend, as my song says. When he gets there, he's going to get sick of me, from his room key to, and if they were giving my signature apparel away, he would really get sick of me going, Steve, you got to leave this casino. But February 1st, 8 p.m., he is coming out of retirement. This is awesome. And it's just a special deal for Mississippi and Philadelphia, Mississippi, to be hosting the great Bill Engvall. Hey, Bill.
Yep.
So what got you? Let's continue this, because the one thing that I noticed was in 21, you got your degree in Christian studies. We just talked about GB and Kevin and the Catholic retreats and all that. And so expound on what we were talking about.
All right. So what happened was COVID. We got hit. And all the work just stopped. You know, I know you remember that well.
Yeah.
So there was nothing to do. And so I had been doing some guest stars on Tim Allen's show, The Last Man Standing. And I played I had a reoccurring role as Pastor Bill. And, I had played other parts and on other shows and stuff, but for some reason, this role it really hit me. And so COVID hit, and I asked a friend of mine who's a retired Episcopalian priest. I said, listen, you got any book? Well, let me back up and just say, so I want to get the chronological order of this. Sure. The way it happened was, so I asked this friend of mine, I said, you got any books like Theology for Dummies or Theology 101? He goes, yeah. So he gave me these books to read, and it was amazing. I found out I was fascinated with the history of the Bible. It's the most recopied book in the history of literature. And so I was reading these books, and one night Gail and I were lying in bed, and she was sound asleep, and I was just kind of in that netherland. And Stevie, as clear as I'm talking to you right now, I heard a voice say, now you're doing what I want you to do.
Wow.
And I got up, and I knew who it was. I knew who had just spoken to me. But I did the obligatory. I got up with the flashlight and walked around the house like some burglar's going to walk in my house and go, now you're doing what I want you to do. So I went back to bed and was laying there, and I thought, I've got to tell Gail about this. I mean, this was huge, and I wasn't sure how she would react to it. People, when you tell people you're coming to Jesus story, and generally you get one of two reactions. Either you get the ones going, oh yeah, okay, whatever, and then you get the people that are really like, hey, that's great. So the next morning, I got up, and Gail was already up, and I said, we need to talk. And she said, what's up? And I said, I don't want you to think I'm crazy or losing my mind, but God talked to me last night. And she said, well, what did he say? And I said, he said, now you're doing what I want you to do. And she looked at me and she said, well, then I guess you got to do what you got to do. And so the next day I enrolled in Grand Canyon University.
Seen the commercials.
Yeah. And, excuse me, getting over a cold. And the first time I went to college, my first semester grade point average was 0.76. That's pretty much lower than dumb. You got your name right. That's about all you got credit for on that.
You were having a good time.
Yeah, I was enjoying life.
Yeah.
And I ended up graduating GCU with a 3.97. And I finally, and to bring this back to what I was talking about, I finally knew why I was on this planet. And my job was, what God wanted me to do was to make people laugh and make them feel better. And I had never thought about it like that before. It was just a job. It was just, Well,
it's the hardest job in the world, in the entertainment business. Hardest thing in the world, and you and I both know. That's why you guys are such great actors. You can go deep and dark and whatever you want to, but making people truly laugh with that is the most difficult thing I feel like in the entertainment business.
Well, I agree. And I'll tell you when I knew, even if I needed more cementing in, I'll tell you a quick story. I was doing a show. I was working in Detroit, and this was back before Blue Collar and all that. And I did the show, had a great show, and I found this post fact that the club owner sent me an email that he got. And this woman said, I don't remember she goes, I came to the show that night because that day I'd been to the doctor and they had diagnosed me with terminal cancer. She said, I thought I could do one of two things. I could either sit in the house and just, oh, poor pitiful me, or I can go ahead and go out like I was planning on. She said, I came to the show. She goes, I don't remember his name. She said, he was the last guy on the show, which would have been me. And she said, please tell him he cures cancer. And what happened was she went back to the doctor the next day after watching my show, and they told her she'd been misdiagnosed. Now, I didn't cure her cancer, but I made her forget about it for 75 to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And that to me said, this is something special. This is, and I love being a comedian. And it's funny that this is where you and I have another little, tie-in is the first comedy album I ever bought was Steve Martin's Let's Get Small.
Yeah.
And, I've never met the man. I'd love to meet him.
That's crazy. You guys have not met.
I have not met him.
How is that possible?
I don't know, but I would love to tell him that you were the reason I got into stand-up.
Wow.
And, it's just been a journey that I could not have ever, imagined. And then to bring it all forward, when I decided to retire 2 years ago, I lasted about 6 months. And it wasn't because I was bored a little bit, but back to the faith base, I remember thinking, one day I told Gail, I go, you know what? I've made a mistake. And she said, what's that? And I said, I should not have retired because God gave me a gift. And if I don't do this, then I'm kind of turning my back on God. And it's like saying that I know better and I don't know better. And so, I just called my agent and I said, I'm going back out. So and here we are coming to Pearl River. And the fact that people are still coming out, it just shows me that I made the right decision. And probably in hindsight, I could have just taken a break because I was just, you know how it is. Sometimes when you're touring, it's easy to forget how much you're working. Yeah. And it's easy to forget that there's people that miss you at home and want you there. And, so I should have just taken a break instead of making this big announcement. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite stories about the retirement was I was doing the last tour and I forget where I was working, but the guy said, you got to know something. I said, what? He said, Marty Stewart was just here last weekend.
That's right. And
we had up on the billboard, it was Bill Engvall's retirement tour. He said, Marty Stewart was in the dressing room and said, Bill Engvall, he can't retire. No, tell him no.
I love it. You know, Marty and I have become such good friends since I moved back to Mississippi. He's from Philadelphia, Mississippi. When you go into town, he's rebuilt. He owns over 20,000 memorabilia pieces in country music history. He's got the biggest museum. You know, he was a prodigy at 13, but playing with Lester Flats and all that. But the Congress of Country Music is there as well. And it's just going to blow your mind. I mean, what he's done for the state and bringing all that back there and revitalizing his downtown. It's just awesome. And we have become just dear, dear friends since then. He's been we'll talk. Let's take a quick break. Bill Engvall, Pearl River Resort, February 1, 8 p.m. If you're lucky, you can still get tickets. Call it an early weekend. As my song says, you don't have to be yourself till Monday. Speaking of anything that needs to be on your plate, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Superior Catfish. Go to superiorcatfish.com. There's catfish. There's Superior Catfish. There's Bill Engvall. And then there's Bill Engvall. I'm just saying. And visit Mississippi.org. Plan a getaway.
This loneliness, I'll find me. I'll find me. I'll find. There ain't no street in this town.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Flying down that levee road, trying to see how fast you go. I got my baby along for the ride. There's forever forever far as I can see.
We got a short segment left. I'm with one great man who has really figured out a lot in life about things that I can tell just listening to the timbre in his voice, how much it matters to him, and where he is in his life right now. Coming out of retirement, we'll be at Pearl River Resort. He will be hopefully sitting over the top of the pro shop. Bill Engvall over your over where you can go out on the deck and oversee Dancing Rabbit. It's just beautiful. And he will be there February 1st at 8 p.m. And if there are a few tickets left, you guys got to go. Check it out. Great folks over there at Pearl River Resort. They're my dear friends, and we have worked together for the last 5 years, and I've had the time of my life with them. I love them. They support our foundation. They support everything, and they've just mattered to me. So I love Chief Cyrus Ben. You'll meet Chief. You'll meet Matt. You'll meet Ryan. You'll meet Ben. You'll meet Tim. Yeah, they're just gonna love on you. Okay, so you must have been at a really a good place in your life where it was time for you to listen. So I want the formula, I want the recipe, I want the medicine, but for me, I'm still lacking that, and I wish that would happen to me.
Well, I think we all are, Steve, to a point that, we're a very egocentric, population. We all think we know better. And sometimes God's directive, if you will, to us is not easy. He never said it'd be easy. I mean, if you look back in the Bible, if you just boil it all away, Jesus walked around and got people to just quit whatever they were doing to follow him. And he would tell them, he said, this is not going to be an easy journey, but it'll be the most rewarding journey you've ever been on in your life. And I think to bring that forward to my career this is not easy. I mean, it is hard. You're getting up in front of people that you don't know.
But you sort of do.
Well, you sort of do.
It doesn't take long to get to know them, right?
Right. Well, and that's where I think it's important, you talk about to listen. And like when I'm doing a show, what I'm listening for is not the laughter. What I'm listening for is the authenticity of the audience and their reaction. When you get that guy that's banging the table and he's just like, you got to stop. You're making my stomach hurts,
Yeah.
That to me is the greatest feeling in the world. And, the other thing, and real quickly, I'll go back to it. And I think this is also true for blue collar. One of the things that has been so prevalent in my career, and I wasn't aware of it too much, was people appreciate the fact that it's a clean show.
Which is hard.
It's hard. It'd be easy to throw the F-bomb or whatever.
Yeah.
And by the way, listen, I can tell you a joke that'll curl your hair, but, I always write my show with this thought in mind. Would my wife sit through 90 minutes of this?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I think she's a great barometer of that. And so now it's just, for me right now, Stevie, it's just free sailing. I mean, the wind is up, the sail is full, and the sun is shining, and I'm excited about going back out on the road. You know as well as I do. There are times in your career where you're either on the bus or in a hotel and you're going, I just don't want to do this tonight. Yeah. I'm just tired.
Well, it's all that ESPN Food Network time you're talking about.
Yeah.
And looking outside the bus and you see trees after trees after trees after trees. Right? And it just.
Right. And but I think that, and that's that's where the work comes in, is when you have to say, all right, I'm putting my boots on. We're going back out, and we're going, and I always tell young comedians, I go, I don't care if there's 5 people or there's 50,000 people. You got to give them all the same show.
Absolutely.
I hear comedians like, oh, it's a little bit of a small crowd tonight. I don't know what, they don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
They paid their hard-earned money. And and this is why I always try to remember this too, Steve, is people that come see my show, they had 100 different ways they could spend their money, their hard-earned money. People working hard for a living, and they want to come see my show. And who am I to not give them the best that I can? And I think that people appreciate that. I'm glad that God gave me the ability to understand that, and that we'll roll as long as this little wagon wants to roll. And the show there at Pearl River is going to be fun. We're going to be doing some new stuff. We're going to be doing some of the classic hits. Because, that was real quick, that was another thing I had to get over. I hear all these comedians go, I write a new 90-minute show every year. Like, okay, but how much of it's really A-plus material?
Right.
And what my argument to them is, if you and I were going to go see Aerosmith, on the way to the concert, not one of us in that car is going to say, man, I hope they play all new stuff.
Yeah, there's no way. Nobody's going to say that. February 1, 8 p.m. Bill, you're going to love it there. Superior Catfish, store.superiorcatfish.com, folks, allows me to put this show on, made here in Mississippi, and visit Mississippi.org. Is going to be very grateful to have the great Bill Engvall on Mississippi soil. Gosh, that's cool. Bill, I love you, pal.
Love you too, brother. It's been too long.
Been too long. We'll play golf soon. Oh, well, we'll let Gail and Gwen play golf.
There you go.
Later on.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
You can now watch SuperTalk Mississippi on your YouTube, Roku, and on Amazon Fire devices. Plus, you can now watch SuperTalk TV live on C Spire TV Channel 70. Just go to supertalk.fm/connect to find out more. A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.